Hallo und willkommen zurück. Ich muss leise sein. Mitten in der Kirche. Ach, warte mal. Die Kirche ist unter der Erde. In einer U-Bahn. Irgendwas stimmt hier nicht. Das war nur ein kleiner Puzzleraum, den wir gelöst haben im letzten Part. Deswegen kann mich diese Kirche mal. Und ich rede so laut ich möchte mit I. Denn ich möchte sie fragen, was sie so in ihrem Leben gemacht hat. Vielleicht hat sie Informationen, was uns alle verbindet. Von daher... I need to ask you some things to be certain of my hunch. I wrote my questions on a sheet of paper. What do I do? Prior to my recent loss of vision and hearing, I studied at the University of Montreal. I was surprised by that. Once again, I found something adding to the theory involving the university. Marco, Ray, her, and I all shared that school. Not just any university, that one in particular. My disabilities were a recent development. Before that, I was a student in the field of applied pneumatics. It was a very secretive field researching, It's kind of hard to explain, but it's about what thought is and what constitutes thought. I took extended courses in personality studies and neurology as well. It's all very complex. Anyway, that's what I did before my incident, though I never really got to do much on the applied side of the field. It was mostly theory. Even in the university, you had to take unrelated courses to fill up your curriculum. I assumed her inability to do the practical part stemmed from this dumb practice. Then again, I didn't take her for someone who would want to mess with thoughts and what thoughts were. I took a brief moment to think about what Marco studied in. It was also a scientific field, but I just couldn't remember what it was. It, too, was something strange like that. A sudden flash of inspiration hit me. That's right. A was a researcher too. The old man shared a tangential link to those two. He was a researcher, which sounds scientific, and there was E. And Marco both studying that stuff. All of this left me without a link for Jasmine and the twins. Perhaps I was the link between Jasmine and science. So it went something like that. Marco, A, and E were related to science in some way. Marco, E, Ray, and I were related by the fact we belonged to the university. Jasmine and I were related because we knew each other. That left the twins. I only need to ask the twins if they shared any sort of link with Jasmine. That would have to wait until we were all in the same place, so the lounge was my next destination. For now, I took his hand to pull her into the lobby. We're done here? Amazing! It was remarkably fast to be able to finish so quickly. I'd like to think I'd need quite a while before I finish, but anyway. I was thankfully she couldn't hear me as we took the train back to our hangout spot. The trip back to the lounge was remarkably quiet, even if I could hardly contain my excitement. Agnes would have no choice but to let me know everything once I shared my discovery with him. I stepped out of the train with the confident this would be our way out. Unfortunately, the noise I just heard robbed me of all my optimism. A sense of dread slowly spread throughout my body. Was that a gunshot? It was a glacial feeling. The question wasn't if it was a gunshot or not. The question was who shot and who got shot. In my usual way, I started imagining the worst. I imagined Marco lying on the ground, bleeding to death. I imagined Jasmine against the wall, immobile and dying. What if Agnes got shot? All possibilities of learning the truth about him would evaporate. I clenched my teeth. It was too early to say that. Instead, I yanked Dee to the metallic wall. I was hearing some footsteps from above. What is it? She asked. She spoke. She made noise. I had to stop that, so I put my hand over her mouth. My girl understood quickly, and she ceased any sort of movement. The train betrayed me when its little chime rang out and it drove away. Whoever was upstairs would know there was someone downstairs now. The footsteps stopped. Is it Ray? Instead, there was silence, other than some grumbling or moaning. Another gunshot followed. The person hadn't been on their way to leave the room yet. Perhaps they didn't realize someone came by a station. The element of surprise may have still been on my side. Finally, those heavy steps came closer and closer. The staircase creaked as the steps grew louder. The footwear was probably a pair of boots.
What a bother and what a mess. Unavoidable but unfortunate.
I recognized that voice and those boots. They both belonged to Agnes. That sense of dread from earlier grew tenfold. If he was the one with the gun, then that means the others. I couldn't panic here. If he found me here, he might not like me learning he'd shot in cold blood. I held my breath and counted the steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Finally, I sensed him in the lobby. Even a rat caught in the corner would strike back if it had no choice. I was the rat, and he was cornering me, as the train was no longer here to flee the scene. As soon as I saw him step through the door frame, I let go of him and grabbed his wrist. Right afterwards, I slammed his arm against the wall, twisting it upwards while he gave a moan of pain.
Ah! What are you doing, you idiot?
Either I got lucky or he wasn't as strong as I thought he was. Perhaps it was merely our age difference at play. Sadly, my leg wouldn't hold out. When he dropped the gun to the ground, he did something else too. He punched me in the face. I lost my balance, and the wood spun around me as I fell to the ground, pulling him down alongside me. However, with surprising agility, he stood back up on his feet and dusted himself off.
Are you afraid due to the gun? I'm simply ensuring that whoever is behind this game is removed from it. As there was no conclusive evidence, I'm removing everyone who isn't me.
Okay, das ist eine Methode. I wasn't a very good fighter, but he was still an old man, so I took my chance. I lunged at his legs, and quickly got him down to the ground again. This time, he was dazed by the hits, so I reached over and grabbed the revolver. I wasn't used to firearms, so I couldn't do anything substantial with this right now, but I could keep it out of his grasp. When he rubbed his side and took longer to get it back up, I grabbed E's hand and pulled her into the lobby. It didn't take long for us both to make it up the stairs. I couldn't explain to her what was happening. I had no time for any of this. Mal gucken, wer tot ist. All I knew is that I need to clear out names of this business. Once Agnes would realize that we weren't Smiley or his accomplice, then he would have no reason to pursue us. I had momentarily forgotten about what would be upstairs. I glanced into the lounge, which was perhaps a grave mistake. The grim sight greeting me was nauseating. There were spots of blood everywhere. Many bodies. Not just one, but two, but three. No, there were 4. Dann fehlt noch einer. All of them had been shot square in the head. With 4 deaths, I assumed the rover had used 4 of its 6 shots. The 4 deaths were Ray, one of the twins, and Marco and Jasmine. And I felt my knees suddenly dizzy. The other 2 were Jasmine and Marco. They were both dead. They were lying there, dead as shit. Dead. Both of them. I would never touch Jasmine again. I'd never hear another one of Marco's stupid jokes. I hated those jokes, but this I hated more. I hated far more. I couldn't move. I felt like solid rock. He was still standing next to me, and she didn't know what to do. Clearly, the girl was scared, but I couldn't move. I was stuck in a strange state. Like solid rock. Cold. Weathered by time, full of heavy nothing. Mechanically, I turned my head towards Eve. She was still alive, though. This girl, this nice girl who didn't deserve any of this, was still alive. Slowly, I stood back up. This girl who had been nothing but nice to me. She was like a goddess coming down from above. Despite doing nothing, her mere presence brought me back to reality. That's right. She was still alive, and so was I. I took a long breath after having forgotten to do so for a short time. For a short eternity. Ich bin gerade nicht gut belesen, tut mir leid. I wanted to mourn my friends, but the bodies end here. No more. I clenched my teeth again. I could have made the cowardly choice of lying down on the ground and accompanying my friends far, far away. Could have. I was resolute now. For the first time, I decided that enough was enough. I wouldn't let Agnes kill more people. I grabbed his hands. I couldn't bring her to danger again, but leaving her in a room full of dead bodies was not my idea of a good date either. She was safer with me. This girl was the most precious person as a fellow survivor. We went back down the stairs. I had to deal with Agnes. I looked around the station once I was in the lobby, but he was nowhere to be found. I hadn't heard footsteps, so he didn't get to the other side. Where was he? I stepped into the station. He wasn't on the other side, nor was he on the rails. He wasn't waiting for me. I only noticed where he was the small clank echoed from afar. The station had 2 ends leading into a small dark maintenance tunnel. The gates were locked, preventing our access to them. However, the old man disappeared inside one of those tunnels, and he didn't come out. Damn it. The darkness, he would have the advantage. I couldn't afford that. I cursed and went back into the lobby. This no longer was a viable option to pursue for the time being. Instead, I went over to the other side with E. I decided to take the train and put some distance between Agnes and us. Just as quickly as before, I made my way out of the lobby. I couldn't see if Agnes was capable of seeing me on this side. Just in case, if he could, I flipped the bird in his direction. That'll teach him. The train was coming. It was remarkably fast, confirming the thought I had earlier. This train was the only train here, wasn't it? I didn't have to take anybody else at the moment, so it could pick me up quickly. I looked around the station for any signs of something capable of picking up our presence, but I didn't see anything. Once again, pulling Eve by the hand, I stepped into the train with her. Once she sat down, I started writing.
What is happening? Please, let me know. Wait. Okay.
I was getting to it, but it would take a while. As I wrote, the chime rang out. As I wrote, the train drove off. ...
Everyone is dead? How could this happen? I suppose I don't have a reason to not to follow you everywhere now. But are you sure? Is this really what you saw?
The girl looked possibly modified. I couldn't blame her. I elaborated upon the fact I only saw one twin, so perhaps the other was safe.
Do you know which one died? I was told they were identical, or perhaps not. Oh no, I didn't think of this would get so bloody. This is truly terrible and horrible.
While I'd been writing, I wound up another part of my plan. The station I would go to was the fourth from the lounge, the one I forgot to explore earlier with Eve. That station would hopefully give me some answers.
We need to find a way to leave this hell as fast as possible.
She was right. This was hell. I couldn't stop thinking about the bodies, that cold on the floor, which was equally as cold. I had to stop thinking about it. There was then. This was now. That escalated quickly. The train stopped. I couldn't let anything destroy my resolve. I only had one chance at this. If I died, it would be all over, and he would be dead as well. Speaking of he, I had to ask her what her name was. I decided to keep this incentive to escape. I would only do it once. It would be safe and sound outside. The train left behind me after I contemplated the idea. The first order of business was clearing up my name, finding out that fucking password, and confronting A once I'd masked all the shitty information he wanted me to find. I held my head in hand. I started swearing in my thoughts. I need to calm down. Pulling along again, I stepped into the lobby. Then went up the stairs. Oh, and Sporthalle. I finally arrived at the station's special room. There was a large gymnasium. I'm not gonna get any answers here, am I? Maybe I should just think about it. What about you, E? Oh, you have an idea? Sure, that'll work. Here, I'll let you have a crack at it. Feel free to use those eyes to see what the problem is, and your ears to hear what I'm saying. Oh, I forgot that you can't say anything and you can't hear anything. Ah, oops, my bad. Fuck, I'm going insane! I didn't mean to turn her disabilities into a mockery. I was just stressed out. I was frustrated at this situation. Not at her. She was difficult to deal with. If only she could see and hear. I communicated with her some of my ideas, asking her if she had some.
Well, if you want to clear our name of suspicion, the best way would be to find Smiley and apprehend him, but that seems impossible. But first, let's think about Smiley a little. From what you said, if we're pulling from the pool of those who are still alive, Smiley is anyone between Agnes, myself, you, or the other twin. Otherwise, Smiley is already, dead? I don't think you've seen the other twin yet, so for now, let's consider them as a possible threat. It's sad to say, but we can't clear the other twin of suspicion. That means all we need to do is to prove that she's Smiley, even if we don't want to do that.
Something didn't feel right with these words. I hadn't seen the other twin at all. That was true, but I thought about the team composition we had. Jasmine had gone with Ray, she had gone with Marcus, and Agnes had gone with H. But ich gehe davon aus, dass Ray, Marco, G und falsch, dass Ray, Jasmine, G und Marco in der Lobby gestorben sind und Agnes H auf dem Weg selbst abgemurkst hat. Das macht am meisten Sinn. Deswegen haben wir den einen schon nicht gesehen, weil die wahrscheinlich noch in dem Raum liegt, wo Agnes und sie hingegangen sind.
Thinking about it that way, the bodies that turned up were Jasmine, Ray, and Marco. There was also a twin, but it was either G or H. Agnes had come with H, so it's possible he would have killed her too. But then where was G?
No, this didn't add up.
If Agnes killed H, then he could have done so many times. He could have done it in the room they explored.
He could have done it on the station outside that room.
In the lobby too. That meant that twin was probably HG, who had come with Marco. If all the teams came back, then why we didn't see H was simple. Agnes killed her, but not at a lounge.
And I didn't have the time to investigate that. I shared my idea with E.
You think so? If she's already dead, then we can't manage to prove she's Smiley, and this means we're the last ones alive. You said we were at the station, right?
She took a small pause, unsure what she would say about it, but eventually she made her question clearer.
If the station has already been explored, couldn't we just leave? Each of them has an exit, correct?
I didn't understand the question. She should have been aware of the rules. Agnes shared those details with her, right? A cold shiver went up my spine at the realization. Maybe the hand communication was just for show. Maybe she had absolutely no idea of what the rules really were. Or perhaps he purposefully avoided telling her. As if he had intended her to die at some point due to a mistake like that. Damn it! I can't even tell you because there's barely any paper left. Fuck! Reusing any of them was actually impossible due to the way the pen worked the paper. I tried doing it with the one earlier, but the paper just tore up under the pressure. That wasn't good. I have to be careful what info I share with her. Damn it! I guess I don't have a choice. I'll do a quick cursory look over this room. I stood up and went to search the room. Agnes wasn't stupid and he had a goal. Also, I thought that he probably wanted to live too, so he wouldn't blindly run up the stairs if he happened to get here. My presence upstairs with Lee was, in a way, a deterrent. I was aware of the rules and how we couldn't step in the lobby or beyond with more than 2 people at once. On the other side of the room was the prison leading to a few lockers. I searched it quickly, but nothing jumped at me. Back on this side, there was a safe. It was already unlocked when I checked. I opened it, and on the back I saw a message. It made little sense and was clearly used for whatever puzzle was in this room. Otherwise, this safe was empty. That safe. It's a safe. It could keep things safe. Agnes isn't stupid. He's very cunning. Maybe he could even trick me again and steal back his gun. If that happens, fuck. I had an opportunity to get rid of the gun right here and now. If I hid it, and only I knew where it was, he would have no choice but to take things slowly. I didn't find a password to this room. I didn't find a clue about Smiley. I didn't find anything really relevant, but I could get rid of this gun. Despite my resolve, I knew that I would shake in my boots when the time came to use it. This was dangerous for me, not for anyone else. I didn't even know how to operate it. Time was ticking down too. Agnes would find us sooner or later. I already rated my options. I could confront Agnes with the gun, or leave the gun here and investigate a way to leave otherwise. The third option was also the Megador. Could unlock with the room mode, but I still didn't know the password for it. If only I had hints about the password. But until I did so, my options were limited. What was I thinking exactly? I had every piece of this puzzle in my hand. The remote, the gun and E were all on my side. If I let go of any of them, I'd suffer when the time would come for the confrontation. Before I moved against Agnes, I need some kind of plan. First, I needed to understand what he really intended to do, but I also need to avoid him while doing it. I wrote to eat with one of my last papers. 2 remained after this.
So we're going to explore a new station. Is that really necessary at this point? If what you said is true, it doesn't sound that safe.
I squeezed her hand tighter to mine to reassure her. Unlike what she might have been thinking, this preparation was to be sure. We'd be safe and not in danger. We stepped out of the room and went downstairs to take the train. While it took the time getting to us, I was thinking about what to do. The best course of action was to go all the way to the other side. As far away from Agnes as I could get. As I could get. We entered the train and we resumed the little subway circle.
Oh boy.
The train closed its doors. Oh boy, das ist brutal. Then left the station. Breaking station. Then we came to another one. The doors opened. And the doors closed. Then closed. Alas, the cycle would be quite the same this time. An earthquake shook the train before it left from one of the stations to another, leaving me a need to hold on to the interior to avoid falling down. Oof! Oof, what's happening? Damn! Which one's next? According to speakers, the pool had been next. However, the train didn't move to leave the station. I decided to leave it after a few minutes. Once we were outside, I waited for the train to go. It didn't move even after I left it. Is something broken? I looked towards the tunnel. It was completely dark. Amidst the darkness, I could finally make out an outline. Was it another train? No. It was a pile of debris. The tunnel had collapsed. That was why the train wasn't moving from there. Damn it! Where did we go? I checked out the little hallway in the darkness, but the gate was locked. I swore under my breath. Come to think of it, the door leading up to the station was also closed. I couldn't explore it at all. Why was it closed? Was there someone here? Was it the twin? No, it wasn't a twin. Looking through the window proved it was nothing more than a pile of rubble. The staircase was just ruined as it tunneled. What the hell's going on here? Was it an earthquake? Shit, we have to go. We have to leave this place. I quickly explained to E using one of my very last sheets of paper. Only one more remained after this. My plan was simple. We were going to walk through the tunnel.
That's absurdly dangerous. We can't do this. Well, maybe it's in normal circumstances, but right now I guess we have no choice. Do you think we'll avoid every train until we get to another station?
If one of them, even just one of them, came by, we'd die instantly. I knew that, but we had no choice. It was either that or stay here, starve or die, or even worse, be crushed by falling rubble. This place wasn't secure anymore. With all the pieces in my hand, I felt too confident to stay here and wait like a coward. I dropped down from the side of the station and helped Lee down there too, careful to avoid the rails. I instructed her to follow directly behind me. If she wanted, she could also hold on to me. That was my last paper, but it was necessary. It was a necessity. Blah.
Okay.
He grasped my body from behind. Hers was warm and nice. Comfortable, even if kind of heavy, and a constant reminder that I wasn't doing it for myself. I was doing this for both of us. Oh nein! Sachen werden streitig, Leute! 5 Leute sind tot. Okay, 4, aber wir denken, es sind 5, weil es wäre seltsam, wenn der andere nicht überlebt hätte. Von daher, wir gegen Agnos. Einer wird siegen. Meine Gruppe eher. Spannend, spannend, spannend. Aber die Spannung wird erst im nächsten Part vielleicht gelöst. Denn die Zeit rennt uns davon, genau wie die ganze Tunnel uns davon rennt. Denn er fällt langsam zusammen. Okay. Das wird sehr spannend. Das wird aufregend. Ich danke fürs Zugucken und dann bis nächsten Mal, wenn wir vielleicht Agnos gegenübertreten. Oder durch Zufall von einem Zug überfahren werden. Beides kann passieren. Von daher, wer weiß das schon. Gut. Dann bis nächsten Mal. Tschüss.